Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the Summoner Showdown, the AfterShow. This year, there were thrills and spills galore, with a few controversial moments thrown in for good measure as well. Join us as we discuss all that and more with our special guests. Because, as the saying goes, happiness leads to anger, and anger leads to the Metal Sonic Dude. So, joining us all the way from his home, somewhere in the US, I don't know, but later he's going to share with us. Joining us is the one and only Metal Sonic Dude, the champion from 2019's Open Edition, to share with us his insights and thoughts on what went down this year in the 2021 Summoner Showdown, as well as just give us more insights into what makes the heart of a champion tick. So let's give a warm welcome to Metal Sonic Dude. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you very much, Tatsuri. It is a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate the invitation.
All right, all right, all right. So without further ado, let's get this show on the road. All right.
Right.
So first up for you, MSD. What was it like competing in the first open tournament, open I stress, in MCoC
Yes.
history?
Yeah. The whole tournament aspect of MCOC is really what keeps the spark alive, is really what keeps my passion for the game going. Now, before we get into my win, my victory, I do want to acknowledge that before 2019, there were two previous editions of the MCOC Open Tournament, 2017 and 2018. Legacy and Dirk McMurk were victorious in those tournaments, and I want to fully acknowledge their victories and fully acknowledge that they are indeed amongst the ranks of champions. The only distinction that I hold between those 2 years and the 3 years prior, or the 3 years after, of course, is the 2019 tournament was held in a higher regard just based on the rewards alone. And I kind of call this era from 2019 to 2021, it's the Isosphere era, because this was the first public tournament that offered the mainstream tournament victory. The main prize from public tournaments is the Isosphere, and this was the first public tournament to offer the Isosphere as its grand prize. So fully acknowledging the two prior victories from Legacy and Dirk McBurk, but also making the distinction clear that those two prior years did not offer the Isosphere, and from 2019 on, they have offered an Isosphere. Just wanted to make that very clear.
Yep.
But back to your question, just needed to get that
Yeah, well,
clarifying
well said. And
statement out
that's
of
the
the way.
reason I would also like to just quickly address if people are wondering why didn't I get lags and the previous winners, because I wanted to keep this in terms of an open tournament that was open to the public, not just strictly restricted to a select group of YouTubers. No disrespect, once again, of course. Top players, top champions, skill shows abound, all right, on display. But I just wanted to make sure that this was really a series that focused on the open edition, open to the public. All right, from
Right.
2019 moving forward until now and the future as well. All right, back to you, MSD.
So that entire experience was something that really kind of transcended my view on the game, transcended my view on just approaching challenges in certain situations in life itself. Um, being that kind of that front runner of this new era, put a lot of weight on my shoulders to carry the name and the championship with pride. But it also allowed me to it opened my eyes to the wider lens of what it means to be a champion, because it's not, at the end of the day, being a champion is not just winning every tournament. It's also, treating every single person you meet with the utmost respect, acting in the most respectful way possible, in the most honorable way possible, with everyone you meet. And win or lose as a champion, if you learn, you are always winning as long as you learn. And I learned many a lesson in 2019. I learned so many lessons, so many valuable lessons about patience, about testing your luck. Just the whole experience was really something that I have kept with me since that moment a little over 2 years ago, and it has helped me grow as a person, and it has helped me change for the better. So it was really quite a magical experience.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's all about the complete package, like you mentioned, like how it is also to on both sides have fun as well as use the experience to improve yourself, both on a personal level as well as skill wise. All right. So as we can see, that experience definitely did come in real useful for you because right now you're one of the top players in the world, and everyone knows that. Everyone respects you for the videos that you publish, the skill shows that you put on, as well as the skills on display that I, for one, I do check them out and I do learn from it. So I must thank you for that because I've learned quite a bit from your videos as well and how I've adapted your skills to my personal play style as well. So,
Thank you so
all right,
much.
I'm
It
sure
it
not only
always
from me,
humbles me.
but yep, from the rest of the viewers out there, we thank you for that. All right, so
I just recently, before we move on, it always humbles me when someone comes to me and says, you know, your video helped me, or your video
for sure.
it showed me a different way to use a character, and it helped me progress to a different level in the game. It always humbles me. It always gives me the warm fuzzies to know that I am doing something that is helping people. So I just wanted to add that little point.
But it is the case because I mean we are all here, all these YouTubers. We are here in the community to, I mean, at the end of the day, we just want to share what we've discovered so that other people can hopefully use it for their own play styles or in whatever content they are addressing to overcome certain challenges. And hopefully it did that or it does that and does make life easier for them as well.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So next up, from your win as the inaugural champion, inaugural champion of the open format of these tournaments. What did it feel like?
The inaugural Isosphere champion. It was quite the experience, if I do say so myself. Um, I had been working towards this goal of winning a public tournament for a very long time, ever since the concept of like gaming tournaments was introduced to me. Um, and during the time I was playing MCoC, and getting a lot more competitive with it, and doing the harder content and trying to make videos on it, um, it motivated me to eventually my end game, my goal, from what I wanted to do before I hang up my boots from this game, was I wanted to win at least one public tournament, and to be crowned the inaugural Isosphere champion of the public tournaments. Um, you can't. When I hear some people, and this is not to call anyone out, I'm not calling anyone out that has been talked to or anything, but you hear, someone wins a race or someone wins some kind of tournament, and they're always about, oh, yes, I'm so good. I'm the best. I did this so great. And I can't, it's hard for me to talk like that, because it's not, you're supposed to stay humble in victory, and appreciate the experience and be respectful to those that you have competed with. Um, so I'm not gonna, stand on my soapbox and say I did this the best, and no one else did it like me, because that's not acting like a champion. Acting like a champion is acknowledging your own accomplishments, while at the same time appreciating and acknowledging the accomplishments of your fellow competitors. And that was shown immediately after my victory, after I defeated the champion. My fellow competitors came on stage, and I showed them camaraderie, and that was the moment where I felt like a champion. Of course, holding the trophy and taking the pictures, that all feels great, but that's a momentary high. When you have a bond and you come to a level of acknowledgement and appreciation for the people you've competed with and the people you're competing against, then at that point, when you are a champion, having those experiences, elevates that the respect that you have for others as well as the respect others give to you, because not only are you a champion in in your own right as a literal winner, as a champion of a tournament, but you're also a champion in the way you approach and treat and act with people. And that's what really made me feel like a champion to say it is how everyone around me, they didn't change. They didn't try to pamper me or be like, "Oh wow, you're so good now. Let's be buddy buddy." Everyone was completely genuine, and and the genuine efforts were reciprocal. Um, so I that's what made me feel like the true champion was the effort, appreciation, and bond that I made with the people there.
Rightly so, rightly so. A perfect response. I entirely agree because, I mean, at the end of the day, without the competition, who are we? Who are we without the competitors? Because
Right.
it's our fellow competitors that push us to go above and beyond our normal levels. They push us to exceed ourselves. So
Yes.
at the end of the day, I would also say that yeah, even if one were to win, uh, a competition, that should spur one to in fact have that additional hunger for success, to win even more, to push yourself further. And in terms of humility, I totally agree, because it doesn't mean when if you win one competition you're the best. As I mean, no disrespect to Anger Danger, of course, but as we can see this year, he didn't even make the semi-finals. But no disrespect to him, many factors as well. I do believe one of the factors was he did not, or he wasn't able to rank up the appropriate champions given the
Mm,
format of the qualifiers this time. You had to use
yeah.
rank 5 stars, and he's
Right.
pretty much
And
free to play.
that's a
Yeah,
problem.
that's a problem. We'll
Yeah.
get to that later as well, like how the qualifier should have been conducted as well, based on how it was this year and how it was last year in 2020. All right, so yeah, that can be quite a roadblock for free to play players because it can be quite expensive. But we'll touch more on that
Yes.
later. Yeah. All right. So next up, what were your thoughts and emotions heading into each fight back in 2019?
So
Doing it
we'll
live
we'll
as well in
start.
front of a crowd. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's hard to kind of express to an audience what it feels like and the difference a display of skill will be like in front of a crowd. You can spend hours, days, weeks in your room locked in doing a single fight over and over and over, and eventually you'll get it. That's by yourself. When you have to perform that same task in front of a live audience on a timer while you're being filmed, that it's a completely different experience. So going back just from the initial qualifier, fighting the guillotine 2099, where everyone had the entire roster available to them. It was just who's gonna step up to the plate, who's gonna show up. Um, I remember being in line. The qualifiers were just starting. It was maybe an hour into the day, and I had already given it maybe 2 runs. So this would have been my third run, and I just had this overwhelming sense of just confidence and this pep in my step that wasn't present in the previous 2 days. But for some reason I was just this spark was invigorated inside of my soul that said, this is going to be the run, this is going to be the run that will carry you to the end. And by the grace of God, I went up to the iPad at the stage and I put up a time that was at by the end of the day, even when they reopened the qualifiers just for people to have fun, it was still 6 seconds faster than anyone else who had attempted. So I don't know what hit me in that moment. I don't know what came over me, but that feeling of confidence, it it boosted me to a level of
Perfection.
skill and, yeah, perfection. Essentially, it was you. I could not have asked or watched a better run. It was just the perfect run for qualification. So that was just the qualifier to get to the semis. And now this was on the Saturday. So the qualifier would lead to the semis, and then right after the semis on Saturday, because of the two other semi qualifiers had already been announced Thursday and Friday, right afterwards, about 2 hours after, the finals were happening on Saturday. So it was literally uh, qualifier, semi qualifier, finals in the span of like 5 hours. So it was bam, bam, bam. It all happened at the same time. So going from the qualifier to the semis, it was nameless Thanos, arguably the most difficult version of Thanos, the most difficult custom Thanos that they have ever released. Um, and at this point, there had been no runs that had soloed him. There had been no runs prior to me that had soloed the champion from 100% to 0. There had been runs that were close. There were 40%, 30%, 20% runs, but no runs had soloed him at that point. And I was fortunate enough to go last out of my three semifinalists, Killer Beezy and Royal of the UMCOC podcast. Um, I was fortunate enough to go third, and after watching their runs and analyzing their strategies, I had a very good feeling about what I was doing. I was fairly comfortable with this version of Thanos to begin with. I had some notes written down from when he was originally released back in the end game event, I believe it was. So I had a fairly substantial amount of prior knowledge before going in, and executing that pretty much perfect run at Thanos. Again, boosted the confidence, boosted the the mental, I don't know, skill level, I guess. I don't know how to phrase it, but the like the mental plane that I was on was just elevated to the next level after that. And then finally, to top it all off, just 2 hours later, no one was aware of what the final boss was. We had no idea. Speculation was, excuse me, maybe a stronger version of the collector. The champion was thrown around a little bit, but it was quickly dismissed by the people taking us to the backstage area before we went on to the main stage. And that should have been a red flag to begin with. The quick, chew of the champion. But no one had any idea of what the boss was going to be like. And then we got backstage, and it was in the finals. It was me, Seaton, and Heisenberg, who also is known as Dreamin' Sucks from For Loki. Um, so we were all sitting in the back, right behind where the stage was, and they had not told us anything. They essentially just said, "You're all going to walk up on stage, and then Dave is going to ask you to draw a number, and then you're going to go from there." Um, and right before the young lady brought us from the back to the front of the stage, I overheard the promotion for the champion, and that's when I knew, okay, it's time to use She-Hulk. It's time. Like, this is what better way to finish off a nearly perfect run, a nearly perfect day of qualification, than to use a character that was pretty much thrown by the wayside by 99% of the community as not useful in this situation anymore. Um, so getting there, again, very fortunate that I went third. I had got to watch the other players compete. I got to learn the AI a little bit, see if he was a little more erratic, maybe passive, a little aggressive. And I applied all that information to my strategy, all the heavy counters, all the stand-up intercepts, and of course, at the very end, the final 10%, the special dexing as well, which I was fairly comfortable with going into this. Of course, I just had no idea that it was going to be the champion who we were fighting. And yeah, I mean, the champion was just, I kind of blocked out the crowd. One thing that I do remember is it's kind of funny. Right before the fight started, jump around from, I think it's House of Pain. I'm not sure if that's the right name of the band, but the song Jump Around started playing on a speaker from like another booth, and that was just like the signal to like flip the switch. It's time to go. Block everything out. Like, do what you got to do. And the magic happened. I can't really, like, I remember certain moments from it, but I was just so hyper focused, so just absolutely lost in the fight that I can't give you an exact play by play, but I can call out specific moments. Like, I remember when I got hit by the special one. I remember getting the double decks to finish him off. I remember landing the first heavy counter, and the audience, their tone kind of changed from one of kind of, what's the word? The tone of the audience kind of changed from almost an underlying sense of anger and frustration to almost shock that this was working. So that was kind of cool to change a sea of people's emotions about something that they didn't know could still function. So yeah, after I wiped the champion, all the emotions came out. No one knows this. This is an exclusive scoop here. But after I gave Josh a very violent hug on stage and nearly fell over, my heart was beating so fast that I had to actually take a knee, and that's why I went on the ground and kind of went like this a little bit, because I was just making sure, like, I checked my pulse a little bit. I was like, okay, I got to make sure I'm not going to faint right now. So that's why, like, when the announcer said he's taking a knee, like, I really needed to take a knee, because I was like,
So it wasn't
I
just like
was
a pose, like you were trying
no, no,
to
it was
to
it
dab or
was
something like that.
no, no, I was really like, okay, this is kind of serious. I have to, like,
But I mean,
breathe in,
to us
breathe
viewing
out,
at home, it worked out. I mean, both for you on a
Yeah,
personal level and in terms of showmanship, it worked out perfectly. Yeah,
it looked really cool
it looked really
on
cool.
camera, but it on the inside, I was like, okay, all right, calm down, just check the pulse, make sure you're all right.
I mean, when
Heart
the
rate, okay,
adrenaline's
170.
pumping, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
Oof. Yep. So yeah, I mean that was truly astounding. The main impression I think that I and everyone got when we saw that was yeah, you it's always good, to have our minds blown when someone uses a completely unexpected counter to make light work of a tough fight. So these are the things that I enjoy seeing the community and from you especially as well. That you tend to use champions that a lot of people tend to sleep on. Would
yeah.
just brush off just like that at first glance and just never go back to the champion ever again. Because which leads me to also another segment coming up soon is in that how you need to know yourself for you to know your opponent. In other words, you need to know the
Yes.
champion you're using before you know how to fight any particular hard matchup. Preparation is
Absolutely.
key. I agree with you.
Yes.
Your mental state was spot on. The composure, the level of composure you had. I can only imagine, the stuff that you had to block out when you were competing live on stage with the crowd making noises, cheering, all the distractions going on, and I can attest to that. It's no easy feat playing any game when you know people are watching. I mean, I cannot
Yeah.
exactly say I know how it feels like to compete live on the stage because competitions I've been in, last year's one and this year's one, were never in front of people, but they were still in front of the judges, kebab judges, watching us, recording us live. So
Mhm.
whenever you know someone is watching you, it tends to play a bit in your mind, wouldn't you say so?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but
It
you
totally, yeah, the entire experience changes when even if it's one person, you have one set of eyes that are not your own watching something that you're doing. It adds a level of stress and pressure, just because you have the internal, and if someone's vocal about what they're watching you do, the external judgment of someone else, that you always have to keep in the back of your head, but at the same time stay very focused
yeah,
on the task that you have to perform. So when it's a live audience, whether it be an actual live crowd or live viewers watching something, it's a lot of mental juggling, making sure, okay, someone's watching me, so I have to do well. But if I don't do well, it's okay because it's live, and nerves are high. A lot of different factors go
a lot,
into
a lot.
live competition.
Mainly, it's the thing that don't mess up, don't mess up. You're life. Don't mess up.
Right, right. Don't mess up. Don't screw up. Don't do something stupid. And
Yeah.
that's what always gets someone. And then they're thinking so hard. I can't do something stupid. I can't do something stupid. And then they do something stupid, and then they
Yeah.
feel bad about it.
Yeah.
And then when they get to like an interview session, like what went wrong or what went right, their first response would be, well, I did something stupid, and then you feel bad about it, and because you were thinking about it so much and you tried to avoid it, but things happen. Shit happens sometimes.
So to all the viewers there, when you're, for all you would be Summoner Showdown participants as well, when you're competing live, make sure, easier said than done though, but make sure you try to block it all out. Don't think about it,
Yeah,
because that really is going to affect your performance, like it or not. When you're thinking about something, it's going to affect, restrict you in terms of, yeah, your fluidity in the fight itself.
yeah,
Yeah, so
100%.
yeah, just bear that in mind. Easier said than done though, but all right, just put on an infinity gauntlet and just snap away the crowd, and then snap
There you
them
go.
back in
Yeah,
after that. There you go. All right,
perfect.
all right. Next question then. Yep. So, once again, yep. Happy belated birthday to you.
Thank you very
All
much.
right.
I
So what?
really
You're
appreciate
finally
it.
you're finally 18 or 18, right?
Finally 18.
Finally
Yes.
18. All right. So I hope you had a bash, a good celebration to celebrate this milestone. And we all know that you are super elated because this means you are finally no longer age restricted to
Finally.
participate in Kabam tournaments or the Summoner Showdown. What's more, you also got an added bonus because it's been a long time coming. You also got into the content creator program officially this time. Yes, no longer age
Officially,
restricted. Yeah,
yes.
because we were all waiting. We were all waiting. Yeah, we all knew. Just once you hit the clock struck midnight, in you would come.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
The email for the content creator program, I received the email at 4 a.m. my time. So
Were you
the
asleep
clock,
then, or were you awake?
I was asleep. I was totally asleep. On a usual school day, I usually get up at if I am going to the gym 4:30 Eastern time. If I'm not going to the gym around 7 Eastern time. Uh, so that day I was not going to the gym, and I woke up to an email that was delivered at 4 a.m. that said, "Welcome to the content creator program." So yeah, that was a pretty wild and eventful way to start my morning.
That definitely did make your day, eh?
Yeah,
Imagine waking up
absolutely.
to that piece of good news. I can only
Yes.
imagine. And yeah, so with that, uh, you're surely gunning to be a champion in 2022. So if you could give the viewers a peek into what makes the heart of a champion, a world-class champion, tick, like things like okay, we've already gone through this, so maybe we could go through it again very quickly. How do you prepare for big competitions? You mentioned the composure that goes into your mind, as you mentioned earlier. I should have asked you this later actually, but yeah, doesn't matter.
All
The
right.
same thing. Yeah, so you mentioned the composure is key. Understanding the champions that you want to be, that you want to use, that you think are good counters. Read up, study up, right? As well
Yes,
about their
absolutely.
abilities and all that. It can be quite daunting sometimes, which is what I want to bring up.
Oh yeah.
What do you think about the current state of the game? In 2014, when it first started, when this game first appeared, versus what it is right now with new champion releases, is it like reading an essay sometimes when you're reading their abilities?
Yeah, there are quite a few champions, and I'll always use the example of Taskmaster that are just unnecessarily complicated in the way that their text is described, how it's all written out. It is so unnecessarily complicated. Um, Dictionaries are now entering champion ability pages at this point in 2020, 2021. A lot of complex mechanics have been introduced, a lot of complex champions and abilities and their signature abilities, and how certain specials work, and how certain matchups with nodes interact. I mean, anyone who's done 7.3 knows that you have quite a bit of reading to do when you're going through all those paradox lanes. So just buckle up for that. Make sure your reading comp is up to check. But yeah, from 2014 to 2021 going into 2022, uh, the game has changed significantly. just as we previously mentioned, with new champions, new nodes, new abilities. But the way of play and how people have access to so much more information than they did previously, that's what I would say is the biggest thing that has changed. Of course, there have been overhauls internally with the game and certain updates, the notorious 12.0 that everyone remembers. Um, but I
But that
think the
was all for the
level
better,
of
actually. I find overall,
yes,
this helped us to improve our skill level. You see, instead of just relying on what perfect block. So
absolutely, yeah,
that was a good thing that came out of it, I would say.
yes, 12.0. At the time, it was very, very, very hated. uh at that point, my account wasn't taking advantage of the characters that got changed. I think I only had access to a 4-star Black Widow that wasn't even Sig 99 and a 3-star Unawakened Doctor Strange. So I wasn't experiencing Thor killing Winter Soldier as a 550 and 15 hits. I wasn't experiencing the perfect block team. I wasn't experiencing um pre nerf Iron Fist, who was actually not a bad character. I wasn't experiencing Scarlet Witch. There was a lot that I missed out on just because my roster wasn't there when 12.0 came. But yeah, totally necessary. It has helped the game progress in a healthy manner. Um, yeah, but at the time, it was there was a lot of backlash.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, people were so used to the way things were.
Yeah,
But eventually, when you get used to, playing in a new style, which once again, yep, did help us all to improve, help the game to move forward. I can't imagine the game being what it is today if Perfect Block, for instance, was still around. Yeah, everyone would just be blocking. No one would be,
yeah.
going for parries or trying to dex specials perfectly. Yeah.
They kind of gave us a little tiny glimpse of what it could be like to have that perfect block with Gambit as a horseman. Um, but that is a very balanced way of having perfect block because you trade off all of your damage for the insurmountably useful utility of having 100% perfect block.
Mm.
And he is pretty much the only character that can do that with 100% consistency. There are some champions that have perfect parries. I believe the threshold is above 69% block proficiency natively. And if you throw a guardian on the team, that's an instant perfect parry as long as there's no block penetration coming from the opponent. So, champs like Professor X, champions like Doctor Doom, Cosmic Ghost Rider, all those champions with super high block proficiency, they can perfectly parry. They cannot perfectly block.
Exactly, exactly. So all in all right, some things definitely need to be changed or needed to be changed in the game. All right. Um, so moving on to the next question. How would you? Well, let me see. Hang on, let me see. All right, for the viewers
No
out there, this
worries.
is totally unprepared, no holds
This
barred,
is
unedited.
the definition of a real interview. This is how interviews should be conducted. It's all real. There's pauses, there's lapses in certain
Yeah,
areas.
there's gonna be
All,
gaps
all
galore as well.
interviews exactly.
Authentic,
This is
authentic.
real life.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, I got a question now. During the actual competition itself, did you have a set game plan going in that you tried to adhere to, or along the way, if things didn't really seem to go your way, did you improvise?
So going into the champion, I had a pretty good idea of what I was going to do. I did do a little experimentation with the cadence of when I released my heavy attacks on one of the initial heavy counters. From his special one, I released my heavy very fast rather than waiting until the final hit. I released it as he was just doing the final hit, so only the second hit of her heavy attack landed. That's the only time I tested a different cadence of releasing the heavy attack just to see if it could speed up the timer a little bit, make the fights go a little faster, make the fight go a little faster, should I say? And it did no such thing, so I returned back to my normal heavy release cadence, and that brought me to the end. But going into the champion, I had a pretty good knowledge of how he worked and how he functioned. He was fairly recent by the time this tournament at Comic Con was being held. The Grandmaster, I don't believe the Grandmaster was out at this point. He came out later in the year, I believe, because if the Grandmaster would have been out by now, I feel like it would have been he would in some form, in some watered down form to allow for completion within a time frame. He would have been the boss, but since it was the champion, so notorious at that time, and made people literally one of the only, if not the only boss to make people permanently retire from the game. And this was pre-nerf champion, so all of his abilities, all 5 indestructible charges, everything was there. They just brought his health down a little bit to compensate for the timer that they had to put on the fight, because all of this was timed. It had to be done in a certain amount of time to allow for other things to be on the stage and stuff like that. So yeah, going into the champion, I had a pretty good strategy. I knew what I was doing going into that fight, and I executed it to the best of my ability.
And what a fight that was. Executed to pretty much perfection, I would say. Yep. So hard fights like that, yeah. This is because why the community also appreciates content creators, because when you share the tactics, the methods to take on hard fights like the champion, like I know, I for sure learned quite a few tricks after watching once again your videos and Sudea's videos as well, implementing them. All right, which takes, of course, practice as well. Watching is, of course, one thing. You got to practice, 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 practice. But yeah,
Yes.
nowadays, with that, I can say that back then the champion was, of course, really difficult to go up against. But right now, you've got lots of counters coming out, new champions and that. Most recent one, I had a lot of fun testing out. Who was it? Um, Anti-Venom. Anti-Venom was like made to
Yes.
fight the champion. I mean, like you could
Pretty
just heavy
much.
lock him in a corner, and that's a complete joke already. But back then, of course, using She-Hulk, not so straightforward. You needed to land the heavies for slows on him, and then yeah, spacing as well. Even against a champion, even if you're using an ideal counter based on its different phases, you need to ensure proper spacing, because at no point in
Yes.
time, I'm sure you would agree, do you want him to touch you? In fact,
No, not
yeah,
at
not
all.
at all, right? Not at all. Spacing is key. That's right.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
especially those characters with long-reaching heavies and yeah, abilities or functions like slow, like stagger. Those would be ideal against him. Or any way to nullify his furies, that would work out just fine as
Yes.
well. Yeah. All right. So next up, how would you? What would you say is the mindset one should adopt when competing at the very highest level?
It's a good question.
Single one mindset, just one, just one.
Just one. Um, if I had to condense it all into one singular mindset, never doubt your own abilities. Always have full confidence in what you are doing. Of course, pay attention to your competitors to see if you can learn something, but don't worry about how they're approaching a fight. Worry about how you approach the fight. Take any information that could potentially help you in certain situations, but do not simply reflect what they have done in a fight, because that's not your experience, that's someone else's experience. You should never doubt your own abilities in a tournament like setting. You are there for a reason, and everyone knows it. Win, loss, draw, you are there because you are one of the best, and that alone should give you the confidence to never doubt any action that you take, whether a mistake was made or some kind of wild success happened out of a completely random act, or of course the most favorable, complete and total execution and control of a matchup in the way you want it to be controlled and executed. that's how I would say a champion needs to think. You just never doubt what you're doing, because if you doubt what you're doing, that means you're allowing others who doubt what you're doing to agree with you, and you're agreeing with the doubters and the haters out there that are saying, yeah, maybe you can't do this. If you yourself are already telling yourself that you can't, that's not going to help either. So never doubt your own abilities. You are there for a reason.
Exactly, exactly. So be confident in your own abilities. Basically, you do you and just disregard what everyone else is saying about you.
Exactly, exactly. Just drown it all out. It doesn't matter. You're there, they are not. That's what matters.
Ah,
That it when when the
that's
rubber
true.
meets the road, who's there? You. Who's not there? The people saying you can't do it. You're there because you have done everything in your power to get to that place. And that's what matters. You never doubt your own abilities, because there are footprints on the moon. People say the sky's the limit, but there are footprints on the moon. So, that
Hmm.
just take that
Very
for what you
apt
will.
analogy there. Very apt analogy. Yeah. So that's how you break the so-called uh, metaphorical glass ceiling.
Yes.
Hmm. All right. So next up, what advice would you have for players wanting to take their game to the next level? Like they've reached their
That
so-called
is
limit. How do they break that limit and get into ultra instinct mode? How does it happen?
so it's not it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen like that. Um when you reach a certain point in this game, a certain level of progression, a certain level of comfort with characters, anyone who has an itch for progression and achievement and competition would want to do more. Now, of course, the old saying, "How do you get better? You practice." That stands true for MCoC. It always will. Um, but one of the biggest pieces of advice I could offer for someone is you really have to step out of your comfort zone when it comes to the game. You really have to throw yourself into deep water. Don't prep. Now, of course, don't waste resources on something you're not prepared to do if your roster is just not at that point. But if you're just trying to take your skills to the next level, you have to throw yourself into an unfamiliar situation and just adapt on the spot with your prior knowledge. How can I overcome the situation that has been presented to me with this combination of nodes, this health pool, this specific character? Any sort of additional outside forces that could be affecting my character, if there's a node hindering me, if there's a positive or a negative that's bouncing back and forth, maybe a node like Bane or something like that, or explosive personality, something that alters the way you have to approach the fight. uh, Throwing yourself into a situation that you are not familiar with will force you to become better. And by forcing yourself to adapt, you are now training yourself to adapt. By forcing yourself into unfamiliar territory, you are now getting used to the feeling of being in unfamiliar territory, in unfamiliar water, uncharted waters. Uh, and that experience that you're gaining will help you in any situation after the fact, after this kind of trial. Um, I just it the prior insight that you have from that situation can be used
Sensei,
um,
what's going down?
in
Okay, so that's why we
okay.
kept it real. Okay, Sola, we're having an interview with MSD right now, but this is making things interesting. You're free
Okay.
to stay if you want to listen in. But basically, I'm conducting the interviews with MSD. I'm going to be publishing this series of videos known as the Summoner Showdown, the AfterShow, to get their insights, opinions on what went down this year, as well as anything that they would like to share with the wider community in terms of how to improve their skills, what goes into the play style, the mind, the mental preparedness of a world-class champion, things like that. But yeah. Also, I mentioned to the viewers at the start that this is going to be kept real. I'm not going to edit out any portion. This portion is also going to make it in to the final finished product that's going to be published on YouTube. You, Solar Flare, say hi to the viewers, Solar. So Solar just popped in, all right, to the channel as well. Yep.
All right, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you can hang around, but I'm basically going to be continuing on the interview on where we left off. All right. So we'll talk later. Solar. All right. Anyway, MSD. Where were we? Back to you once again.
Yeah, we were. I think I was just finishing my kind of soliloquy on the uncharted waters, like throwing yourself into uncharted
Yeah,
waters.
pushing
Oh,
yourself out of your comfort zone, right?
yeah. The once you take that first step and you throw yourself into that unfamiliar territory, uh you're forcing yourself to adapt and learn and change and alter the way you play no matter what the situation is. So um the biggest piece of advice I could give for someone who wants to elevate their level of play is you really truly as much as this statement is abused and abused from people giving advice, but stepping out of your comfort zone in this game specifically, in this like arena, so to speak, for lack of a better word, um is really what separates the boys from the men. It's what separates someone who is willing to try and willing to give it their all because they know no matter what situation they come upon, they can adapt and they can learn and they can fight the hardest they could possibly fight to succeed and move on. And on the opposite side of that, the opposite side of that coin, someone is approached with a situation they're unfamiliar with, and then they back off and they back away and they wait for maybe a champion that completely counters that instead of trying to overcome it with their current situation, their current skill set, just waiting and biding their time, which in some situations is good. But if you're trying to progress and elevate your skill level, it's not the best thing to always just wait, because the more you wait, the more you rely on counters, and it's never a good thing to 100% solely rely on a counter, because then if you're out of luck and that counter is not available, what are you going to do?
What you gonna do? It's never a one size fits all solution.
Right.
Hmm. So key idea here: push yourself. Never say never. Never think that you yourself won't be able to solo a particular challenging fight until you really try. And trying
Right.
is key. In this case, trying is key because when you push your boundaries, then you really know what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and even if it doesn't work, you still improve through the experience of giving it a shot.
Yep.
All right.
the
So
best the
yeah.
best teacher is like the whole concept of failure. um Failure isn't truly a thing as long as you keep trying. So the best teacher is like a failed experience. As long as you keep trying, as long as you keep pushing, yeah, you may have failed in that instant, but that is the greatest teacher you could possibly ask for, because now you know exactly what didn't work and can apply that knowledge to something that could actually work.
Exactly. Exactly. Because failure is meant to be something that spurs one to succeed.
Yes.
And the thing is, one shouldn't look at failure in terms of it's the end of everything if you fail. It's not the end. You can always improve from this. All right. The main thing is, even if you don't manage to, okay, to all the viewers out there, even if you don't manage in the midst of trying, don't manage to overcome this challenge, eventually, all right, even if you don't, I would say it's not a complete failure, because what you can take home from this is the experience that you yourself, that you have improved as a result of this.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So next up, okay. Thank you so much for the all the insights into what makes you such a world class champion. Right now,
Thank you so
we
much for
would
having
like.
me.
It's not the end of the interview yet, though.
No, no, I'm just, I'm just
Yeah.
acknowledging. Like I said at the very
Yeah.
beginning,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have to acknowledge and appreciate everyone. So I
Mm.
just want to again make sure I am truly thankful that
Yeah.
you had me
Yeah,
on
we
this
know, of
after
course.
show.
I know, but just because it would have seemed like that to the viewers. All right.
Yeah, no,
So
no,
stay on,
we're
stay
still
on.
going,
Yeah, we're
everybody.
still
We're
going, we're
still
still
here.
going. All right, we're still here. All right. So, anyways, now we would like to know more about what makes you MSD, the person, instead of MSD, the MCoC god? First up, first question for that would be, what other hobbies do you have in life?
So outside of my truly unhealthy addiction with the Bisloot cage, um, I, I exercise a lot. I'm really into calisthenics or body weight exercise. I usually try and get at least 4 times a week, but most of the time it's five. And that fifth day is kind of a combination of calisthenics and then a lot heavier cardio. I do cardio every day, not in high intensity because I can't do like 2 hours of cardio a day and then work out the next day. I die. Um, but yeah, that fifth day, if it happens in the week, is usually more of a mixture of maybe doing like a stairmaster or climbing up and down stairs for a longer period of time than I normally would for cardio. But yeah, going to the gym, exercising, it has been a passion of mine before MCOC, even before MCOC. I've been exercising for probably going on 7 years at this point. So it's something very near and dear to my heart. It's very important to me to stay healthy and stay active. Make sure that not only am I mentally healthy and mentally um, progressing in education and school, but I'm also physically healthy as well, so I can participate in certain physical activities that one would enjoy, some kind of sports or any kind of maybe rock climbing. I've been rock climbing a few times and I really enjoy that. So yeah, fitness is a big part of my life outside of MCOC. Of course, I am a student. I am a senior at high school. So coming up upon the middle point of my senior year, so I've already sent in some college applications, just waiting on a few other factors outside of my control before I can finish off my application wave to send in every single application I have. But yeah, I am a student, so that life, uh, ups and downs. High school kids. I don't mean to sound hierarchical by saying this, but it's very difficult for me to relate with my crowd just because there's a lot of kind of rampant immaturity and overwhelming emotional reactions to certain things, and I've just never really been prone to those types of actions. Everyone has immature moments in their life, but I've never truly had like consistently immature or disrespectful moments. Again, this is not meant to put people down. It's just kind of it's hard for me to mingle with um, people at high school just because I like in terms of mentality, like how I approach the education system for high school itself. It's a lot different than a lot of people. Uh, I have friends. I'm not alone, but it's difficult to mingle with certain people just because the mentality is different, and one person's viewpoint could be so strong that you can try and have a relationship or try and have a friendship with someone, and it doesn't work out just because some kind of view or opinion is so strong in their eyes that they just can't let go of it. And that's people. You're going to meet people with super strong opinions anywhere you go. It's not just where I am. It's everywhere. So
Yeah,
um
I understand. I
it's
mean, when you gotta
yeah,
agree to disagree, just gotta do that.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, exercise, high school. I do a bit of reading outside of reading that is required for education. Um, and I mean, other than that,
Do you
I've
play
pretty
any other
much laid out
games
my.
other than MCOC? Any other video games at that? Or because I can tell from how you describe your high school life that you are super laser focused on the tasks at hand. You do
Yeah,
what you do and you
uh,
make sure you do them damn well.
yes.
And you don't let anything distract you. And in terms of also, you mentioned the people that you tend to hang out with. Basically, you are kind of allergic to immaturity, if you can put it that way.
To put it that way, yeah. Again, I don't want to come off as rude or disrespectful because it's not kind to talk behind people's backs or you know distinguish a certain group of people as something that's not how a champion should act,
Definitely. I
or
mean,
just
we can
anyone
all
for that
appreciate
matter.
that way of thinking, that lifestyle that you lead, and it is admirable, to be honest, actually.
Thank you.
So really focused way. But do you have time for, let's say, any other video games, just so the younger viewers can find out more? Because I know Lags, he plays other games as well besides MCOC. Uh, are you like that?
Yeah, I used to be really big into console games. Before my love with MCOC, there was a
Became all
game on the
consuming.
Nintendo Wii. The
Oh my
ever-consuming
god.
daily love.
I can relate to
Um,
that. I can relate to that.
yeah. um, but yeah, before MCOC, there was a game, and I still play this, not as much as I used to, but I still go back to it just because I enjoy it so much. I didn't just play one game. I'm gonna list off a few, but the one that always sticks out to me, it's a pretty much one-hit wonder for the Nintendo Wii. It's called Epic Mickey, and it was essentially like a dark fantasy, like steampunk 3D adventure world that revolved around the company of Disney and all of their forgotten or abandoned creations. And you would essentially like explore the world that was called the Wasteland of like real life forgotten Disney like ideas or characters or theme parks and any type of forgotten or scrapped Disney product, chances are you would see it in some way. And I just thought that concept was really fascinating because it wasn't just like you were playing a game, that story was made for the game. This game was telling a story outside of the game in real life. Like all of the things and all of the items and characters and encounters, they were real things that were just thrown by the wayside and scrapped to not see the light of day again until this game came out and kind of resurfaced a lot of, or not a lot, some of the things that were forgotten. So I really liked how it was it kind of
So the
took
game is like
a
constantly
different,
evolving in a way based on what's happening in
yeah,
real life.
it 100%. It changed with the times that it presented to. So the all of the previous characters and all of the rides and ideas that were scrapped, a lot of them came back and resurfaced because of what the game did and how it presented these ideas. And I really like that concept. It kind of it hooked me on like uh, games that made you think. So games that it made you think not only within the game itself of like a puzzle or a certain action that you have to perform, but think about if a game makes a connection to something outside of the game itself. I think that's really cool whenever a game or a gaming company does something like that. I think it's really cool. It shows a level of initiative that not a lot of gaming companies today have to like intentionally link something outside of the game itself. I think that's really cool. So there's that game. That was my first love.
So
I
like say
have
another two or
played,
three more games. Let's quickly run off those.
yeah,
Yep.
um, Cuphead, that platformer game, or that bullet hell, I think they call it. That style of game. I really enjoyed Cuphead. I've played a plethora of Sonic games. I can't even name them all.
And that is why.
And then, of
That is
course,
why, of
that
course.
that's where it all started. And then Super Smash Brothers.
I see, I see. Yeah, I growing up, I was a fan of Sonic games as well. I especially liked the. For me, what really stood out was Sonic 3 and Knuckles when we combined those
Yeah,
two together on the Genesis.
absolutely.
I would like play the hell out of each stage. Make sure I get the collect as many rings as possible. Get the maximum score. Go into those bonus rounds where you go past a certain checkpoint, the thing lights up. I look out for the color. I was so in tune to it. I looked out for the certain color. When you activated it at a certain ring count, I would take note of that so that I could get the best bonus stage. The one I really liked to play was I can't remember which one it was, but yeah, that gave a lot of rings as well. So The
Yeah.
purpose was to get the ultimate score and also to make sure I never got out of hypersonic mode. Had so much
Yeah.
fun with that. Had so much fun with that. Just basically bursting, doing a double dash, and everything on screen just died.
Just going through everything. Didn't
Yeah,
even
man.
just steamrolling.
Yeah, that was one of the most fun things I had growing up as a kid. Yeah. All right. So, anyways, on to the next one would be name us your favorite sports team. Since you are such a health and fitness buff, surely you must have a favorite sports team as well.
This might be crazy,
You
but
don't
I
tell me you
don't
don't.
really. No, no, no. Okay, I do watch some sports. I watch a little bit of American football. I watch a little bit of basketball. Uh, I wish I could have gotten into soccer more. I don't know what
It's
about.
never
I
too
think it's just
late. It's never too late.
you know it's
It's
true.
never too late.
Um, but yeah, my favorite American football team. It's probably a toss up between the New York Giants and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just that's all family stuff, so I gotta support the family. And then that's official team, and then college team, University of Miami. Again, family stuff. Gotta support the family. Um, and then basketball. I mean, you know, the Knicks, New York
New York
Knicks.
Knicks, eh? Which brings
Um,
me to the really question at the very start, or a bit of a gap there when I was introducing you. I didn't really get, or in fact, to be honest, I don't know which state you reside in. So let the viewers know right now whereabouts are you from in the U.S.
I am in the lovely Florida.
All right, I guess as much. University of Miami. Okay,
Yeah.
so let us know as well. All right, moving on to the question. How are things like down in Miami? What are things really like over there? Because for all those people who haven't really been down to Florida, what we see on TV and movies is that what we get in real life as well.
It's hard for me to kind of compare what you see on like CSI Miami or any of the popular
Like the
crime
Florida
shows.
Everglades, things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
The Everglades, what you see is pretty much what you get with that. But when it comes to like all the TV shows, like the TV dramas that picture Florida in a certain way, um, I'm not a partier or a party goer, so whenever it shows things like at a club or at some kind of thing, I have no idea. It could be like that, but it could be like that anywhere. Um,
I mean,
but
clubs are
yeah,
like that everywhere. So
yeah. So um, in that aspect, yeah, it's probably spot on. Um, but yeah, how it shows certain like parts of in Miami specifically, like how it portrays the more Hispanic, like Cuban community. I feel like for the most part that's pretty good. I'm Cuban,
have you
so
bumped
from
into Pitbull before? Just putting it out
I
there.
wish, I wish.
He
That
resides
the
in
miss.
Miami, right? If I'm not wrong.
I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure as well,
I'm
but
not totally sure. Uh,
but
but yeah.
Being Hispanic as well. Do you get to interact much with the local Latino community on a daily
Yeah,
basis?
I wouldn't say daily basis, but you definitely get interaction with the Hispanic Latinx community. Um, you go out to a restaurant and half the employees there don't speak English, so if you don't know Spanish, you either have to know someone who does, or you're kind of SOL. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of immersion in the culture, because not everyone has the same ideals, in a Hispanic or Latinx community. Not every person has the same viewpoint or celebrates the same things. So being immersed in different cultures, it's a nice refreshing experience to learn something new about someone, or a certain group of people, that you can apply to maybe a future conversation, or a perhaps a topic that you could inform someone on that maybe they're not the most educated on. You could provide some insight if someone is curious about something that you happen to know of because of a prior experience. You could provide insight to them and kind of inform them of certain things that maybe they didn't know. So yeah, the interaction it's beneficial for sure. There isn't a lot of, and this is me personally, I can't speak for anyone else, but there isn't a lot of contention when it comes to interacting with the different cultures. It's mostly inclusive, mostly open to anyone who's curious. If anyone has a question about something or something they see on a t-shirt and someone asks a question, most of the time they answer. And they give them a little insight. So yeah, that immersion in the different cultures, it's a very beneficial, helpful experience to just progress as a human and learn more about things outside of what you know.
That's right. That's right. It's always an eye opener to find out about other people's cultures and to experience it firsthand yourself as well. I can attest to that because I studied in Australia for my uni days,
Mhm.
and I basically interacted with people from all over the world, like Europe, North America,
Um,
other parts of Asia as well. So yeah, it's always an eye opener. You got to find out more about what happens instead of outside of sunny little Singapore, tiny little Singapore over here. Yeah. Have you been to Singapore before, anyways?
no, but Satsui, I would love to go.
All right, all right. We should get together then once things have
Yes,
settled down. All right, the whole community.
absolutely.
Yeah, I really miss that aspect of it all. Like they've done away with the live competitions in front of crowds. There are no longer any meetups anymore. So hopefully,
Yeah.
once things get back to normal, yeah, everyone can start meeting up, interacting with one another, catching up, like the good old days once again.
2022,
Gotta be
2022,
2022.
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed. All right. So, a little bit of a controversial topic here. All right. I do know you're quite vocal about getting vaccinated. So I'm gonna try to stay as apolitical as possible. But I mean, for the greater good, I would say we should all do our part to protect not only ourselves, but also our fellow men as well, especially those who are less fortunate in terms of their current state of health, their
Yeah,
immunity level. So, I
yeah.
mean, I mean,
Anyone who's immunocompromised,
yeah,
you have to always be looking out for them.
yeah. I mean, based on personal reasons, I have come across some personal friends that have given me some personal reasons on why they don't want to get vaccinated. Fine, but I mean, but if it's just down to silly little things like I believe in conspiracy theories, blah blah blah, this and that. What you read on QAnon, that vaccines are what evil. They're part of the these products pushed out by the Illuminati, or the Freemasons to for what for purposes of world domination and for world surveillance. Let's get this straight. That is not true. And I'm not gonna say that you are an idiot or stupid for believing it's true, but what I can assure you is based on all the evidence out there, scientific evidence that is completely grounded and backed up. It is not true. So, if that's the reason why you're holding off on vaccination, give another think about getting vaccinated again because it's not true. All right, but yeah,
Right.
we're just gonna
There's
try to stay off this. But yeah,
yeah, yeah.
back to you, MSD. For that, you wanted to say something to add on to that.
No, I just there's always information out there. Hesitation is part of human nature. So obviously, anyone who is not well versed in a subject such as this it's understandable to have hesitation. Uh, but I have in my family, I have people who work specifically to deal with you know um, viruses and how certain types of diseases, like disease control, and how that all comes into play and how that all factors into their profession and how they have to do research
So
and do
some
trials.
resident epidemiologists in the family, I guess.
Yes, absolutely,
Mm,
resident epidemiologist, absolutely. Um, so yeah, there's always information out there. Hesitation is human nature. There's always things to be hesitant about. You just can't polarize everything. You can't politicized things that have been functioning for years before anything was made to be hyper political. No one says a damn thing about the flu shot. I wonder why there wasn't Twitter or Facebook to blow it out of proportion with false information. So yeah, that's
Exactly.
all I'll say on it.
Exactly. So just keep, yeah, do keep an open mind, but make sure you're listening to the right stuff. That's what we're saying. All right. So next one. So finally, or very quickly, because we got to push this interview a bit more quickly because there's still another section coming up on the controversies. All right. So very quickly, just run it down with me. What's your favorite MCU movie or actor?
MCU movie, Doctor Strange. MCU actor, Elizabeth Olsen.
All right, okay, good. Scarlet Witch. And what's your favorite actor or singer overall? First thing that comes to your mind, gut feeling.
Okay, actor, Elizabeth Olsen again. Singer, um, uh, the band Five Finger Death Punch.
Okay, all right, sweet, perfect answer. And last but not least, after a long and hectic week, what do you do to chill and re-energize for you to get ready for what's coming up next?
Sleep. This long, you know, I have to get up early for school, so I can't get the best night's sleep because I have to work on things for school, you know, the night prior, uh, the night before. So, uh, yeah, sleeping more, you know, at the end on Friday, you know, just kind of crashing at an earlier time
Mm.
is always a wonderful feeling.
All right. So you're not one of those, like, over the weekends they go out, unwind, relax. You're more on, I need to catch on beauty sleep, because sleep is, as we all know, in fact, it is really important.
Yeah, it's essential, and the more sleep you get in a day, you know, the more energy you're gonna have, the more likely you're gonna do things that are productive. You know, so yeah, sleep is quintessential.
Quintessential, that's right. You're gonna be able to function properly and not be like a walking zombie the rest of the
Right.
day. Yeah, which to the viewers out there actually is the case for me right now, because I filmed before MND. Just to give you a bit of insight, before MSD's episode, right, which I filmed back to back. I filmed with Happy McMuffins as well earlier, and that was going on at 7 a.m. in the morning Singapore time. I only went to bed at around 2 plus this morning because I went and caught the Eternals last night, day one. I'm a sucker for MCU movies. For me, I have to watch it on day one. If not,
Yeah,
I feel really bad about myself,
I
So,
feel the same way. Unfortunately, I can't see Eternals day one when it comes out here in the states, but I'm gonna see it as soon as I can.
all right, you gotta watch it, man. You gotta watch it. Anyway, no
Yeah,
spoilers from me. But you just gotta watch it. It is interesting, to say the least. Anyways, because of that, I had only like what 3 hours or 4 hours of sleep. Had to wake up early to prepare as well. So yeah, not the best possible state of Satsui right now. But I'm trying my best to hold it together. All right.
you're
Anyways,
a rock star.
all right. Thanks, man. Thanks. All right. Whatever we gotta do, whatever's gotta be done. All right. Even though
Gotta do what you
the
gotta do. You
gotta do
know.
what you gotta do, even though the mental state isn't really there. All right. So moving on to the last segment over here, which is the best part of the show, I would say. Now we're gonna touch on the controversies that occurred this year. So I'd like to get your insights into this as well. So based on the previous three iterations, looking ahead to what's going to happen or what you anticipate is going to happen next year as well, what would you like to see being implemented, and what elements have worked for you and what haven't? In things like, example, there was this big major controversy. I was also on the receiving end. I was the receiving recipient, rather, of a dubious decision where they decided to award more points if you died earlier. I took a round, or rather, I took the whole round of Yentaos because I died earlier in the last round, which I was like, at that point in time, to let the viewers know once again, I actually, based on, I was keeping track in my mind as well how the matches were going. I knew I lost. I knew I lost 2-1 to Yentaos. So that was playing on my mind already. So heading into Abdo's fight, right, knowing that I lost 2-1, it kind of played on my mental state already, because I knew I had basically just screwed up this year's competition, and that was putting even more pressure on me. So heading into his fights, that especially affected me when I was doing the Doctor Doom fight against Mojo. Done that fight so many times. Had it down to a T, in terms of what to do, how to power control him, and basically just go through the rotation until he's pretty much omae wa moshinderu. He's dead.
Right.
But that didn't happen. For some reason, I decided to. If you notice, there was one part where I was beginning the rotation. At one point where I should have thrown the heavy, smacked him, and then got to my SP3, and there it is. I don't know why I just dashed back. No disrespect, of course, to Abdul, but if I had done that, the fight would have been pretty much over already because just rotation after rotation. There's nothing a damn thing Mojo could have done about that. But this is what I'm
Right.
saying. Based on that decision, going back to that, reflecting on that, when they announced that I was the winner of Yen Tao's round, I was like, what? How is that even possible? I knew I lost in fair and square. Based on health alone, I lost. I died faster, which should have been also going against me as well. So, in what world should you be rewarded for lasting shorter in a tough fight? What are your thoughts?
That was definitely the biggest takeaway, other than the completely absurd passive AI with spite. That concept or that stipulation, uh, if you die quicker, you get more points. That completely my mind was shattered. I did not understand how that worked. Now, in theory, if you finish a fight, if you win a fight quicker, that makes sense to award more points. But this take on that concept was just finishing a fight, period. And that's where it kind of threw everything off, because if you did a little bit of damage and you died faster than the opponent that did a little more damage but lasted longer, you won. Which I think that entire concept really threw a wrench into everything that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
happening.
it really
Not
stinks.
only yeah, not only with the spite and the special three showdown, as people called it, but that under that in the back of your mind, you're thinking, if I just die faster, I'll probably win.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, if
Uh,
you went in 100% health, just let him whack you at the start until you die, you get maximum points. Wh- I don't see the logic in that at all.
I don't.
like okay, I can give an analogy to this. There was one fight that I timed out last year using Omega Red against Sentinel. Right, just so the viewers know, I didn't choose to use Omega Red against Sentinel. It wasn't my choice. Last year's format was you chose your attackers first, and they chose defenders to counter your attackers. So I went with Omega Red. I knew I was in for a tough time against Senti. So my idea was to basically don't let him touch me, last the whole fight, and see how it goes. So I timed out the full 5 minutes. Then in that case, right, that's a case of where you are trying to last, you see, against a inopportune moment without dying, without
Right.
getting hit. So but if that happened this year, you would get 0 points, you see, because you timed out. You don't get rewarded at all. Even though you didn't get hit, even though you lasted the whole fight with like what, pretty much a full yellow health bar or close to it, you still get penalized. So I don't know why. Anyways,
I don't know, man.
last year's scoring was a bit different as well. They took into account hits taken as well, which I think should be the case as well going into this
Yes,
year.
100%.
Yeah,
I thought
be-
that was a very important thing to keep track of.
Yeah, like hits taken, or I mean, of course they look at damage received here, but hits taken should also come because it shows how much of a skill, not only skill show you've put on, but how much control you've had over the fight. If you don't get hit, it shows that yeah, you were able to smoothly control things to your will, so to speak, to how
Right.
you plan it to be, which they didn't do it this year. And what I found also found out as well, we did give feedback to, we did ask them actually behind the scenes, just to share with you as well, and as well as with everybody watching. We did feedback to Kebab about the questionable scoring system. And their answer to us was they said that this was based on damage per second. And once again, that should only come into play if both players, manage to KO their opponents. And then DPS, of course, comes into play. But if you die earlier, And yeah, within let's say 5 seconds, you take off like what 10% health versus someone who lasted uh 2.5 minutes and took off 50% health. I don't know, my math might be wrong, but yeah, someone who took off more health and lasted longer, that person will score less points than you, and that person will lose the round. That doesn't make sense at all, because you should be rewarded by being able to last a very challenging and very hard fight. So their response to us didn't make sense then, still doesn't make sense now. I hope they don't implement this in the final product for this new game mode. Alright, that has to change for sure. Another thing is I also want to bring up the point about the outcome for Weirim's fight, where he used Miles, and we all saw that we all saw him eat that special tree, and it was portrayed on screen that he made the wrong call, and those specials, because they were unevadable, they were unblockable as well. It was a poor decision from Weirim, but no, the truth is, and he also did highlight this on the back end to them. In fact, it was filmed as well, according to him. It was but it wasn't broadcast. It was edited out. That he told Kabam, or that this was a bug. Clearly, this wasn't working as intended. He was supposed to phase all those unblockable specials, his Miles. So, what are your thoughts on this? Should it have been redone, those fights, or should the whole series have been redone if, let's say, they couldn't get the bug fixed in time?
I think I have no idea how it could have been formatted, but because of how he wasn't the victim of bad AI with Spite, he was the victim of a bug in a tournament. A bug in a tournament in a new game mode. That is just completely unacceptable, you know? It's not like it was accidental, because if you listen to the playback before his fight, Kabam John calls out that Miles might still be bugged on this version of the game, which like completely baffled me, because I was thinking, oh my god, he's gonna die. Like there's no way he's gonna win because John just said Miles is still bugged, and that was just, he got completely shafted. We didn't really get to see what he could do in the tournament, because that first fight, it threw him off. I mean, it completely shattered any type of confidence. And as you're telling me, he said, uh, they cut out his response, and I mean, that's unacceptable. You know, that's not how you should respond to something like that, because it affected someone's potential placement in a further round of a tournament. Now, if he would have won the fight with Miles, would the outcome of the tournament changed? Who knows? Maybe not, maybe. We have no idea. We will never know at this
But
point.
but but in all fairness, they should have at least, how I'm thinking, two things: either redo the fights, allow him to redo it with a non-bug version, or if it's not possible to use a non-bug version, at least allow him to have another go at it. You see, would have been a different outcome. And as well as that, the the fact is, since they knew it was bugged in the first place, since Kabam John called it out, I missed that part actually, but since he mentioned that and they knew about it, shouldn't they have voiced out to Will that, hey, you're going to be choosing Miles, he's bugged, and he's not working as intended, because for this very purpose, we're going to allow you to
Yeah,
choose another character instead, just because of
they
this.
100% should have interfered in some way and stopped him, and informed him, like, hey, Miles might be bugged still, so don't use him. um I just think, like, that entire situation was handled very poorly. The public response from Kabam essentially just saying, well, we're sorry, but he chose Miles. I don't think that was the proper way to handle it. I think Wereworm's response was very professional, and of course his tone was, you could tell he was upset while in writing it, but he was very professional in the way that he handled it. He wasn't just, saying, "Oh, f you, kabam," you screwed me out of this, and you guys suck. No, he was very professional. It was a cordial response. So all my respect to him for handling it like a champ. Um, but yeah, I think that situation specifically really resonated with me in a poor way. It left a bad taste in my mouth for how the scoring system of this year's public tournament went down. I did not like that that was just something that happened and people moved on like it never happened. I wasn't a fan of that, and it did make me quite frustrated that it wasn't really addressed
Mm,
during the taping. It wasn't addressed further than the comment from John saying, "Oh, Miles might be bugged," you know. So
mm.
that really
Yeah,
that
it
that
wasn't
really ticked me
done.
off.
It was quite distasteful overall. The official response, even things like touching on the passive AI right now. Kabam could have done better. Number one, I was just talking about this with Happy in the previous episode. We were thinking, this year's competition was filmed in a really rushed manner. Last year it was more spread out, so we had more time to give feedback, prepare for our fights as well. This year everything just came together just like that, like that, like that. I guess it could also be because they postponed the qualifiers due to the bugs. But as they said, the show still had to go on. So that
Right.
being said, couldn't they have taken more time to space out the filming sessions to allow us more time for feedback, as in allow us to test out, especially this new competitive game mode? You see, it's a new mode.
Absolutely.
We were guinea pigs basically. We
Right.
weren't even able to test out any fights. So the moment we went in, I was really shocked. Number one, once again, we go back to the topic of maintaining composure in our fights, right? But when you are fighting the very first fight, where not only does it not go according to plan, but the AI starts dashing back 5 times in a row to their own corner of the screen when I'm using Ghost, I'm like, I'm not used to that. Usually AIs dash back if they're passive once, twice, or 3 times. I don't see an AI dashing back all the way to their corner of the screen. It's like 1 in 50 tries or something like that. So that played on me already. Like, um, number one, didn't get to test it. AI was so passive right now. In fact, to be honest, I thought that was actually being controlled by Kabam John or Docky Dave. I was actually fighting human AI, not a kind of AI. So that threw me off, simply put. And so we thought about this, and what are your thoughts on this as well? Would it have been better to allow us to get in a few practice fights? Of course, not using our choice champions, but at least to have a feel of how this game mode is going to be like, how the AI is going to respond, and if it's passive like this, at least able to give the developers time to tweak the AI up a bit to make them more aggressive. Because overall, I'm sure
Yeah.
you would agree as well that this made for a very cringe viewing experience compared to last year. You didn't feel the wow or entertainment factor. Most fights just basically go in, eat an SP3, go out again. That's basically it. As a viewer,
Yeah.
you get frustrated. This is not what you invested your time or money, so to speak, to see. Because it's an investment that would take time off to watch the showdown as well.
Yeah. Time
Not
is
good
money,
entertainment.
so
Yeah. What are your thoughts
yeah.
on this?
I I totally agree. I think you should have had some kind of allotted time to practice and provide feedback and and say, okay, listen, this AI is wrong. Something needs to change, or there's going to be a lot of special threes, and there's nothing we can do about it. I think if you were given time to test out the AI, or someone, or you watched as John or Dave did a fighting that AI, um, you could right there provide feedback and say, okay, that's a super passive AI that needs to change right now, because that's not going to showcase anyone's ability, anyone's knowledge, anyone's skill if the defender just keeps dashing back to their corner and you triggered Spider ready because you dexed one hit that they attacked. They did one hit and then they just go back to their corner and boom, special three, you die. I mean, it just it really left a bad taste in my mouth for a lot of those rounds, a lot of those matches, just to see, notoriously good players just getting absolutely annihilated by spite and by super passive AI. It hard to
It
watch.
made
I
me feel
mean,
bad. It made me question myself as a player, to be
yeah,
honest. Um,
it
yeah.
was really, really something that I truly hope they have taken all of this very, very real, very, very raw feedback to heart for the next iteration of the public tournament. whether that be online again or if things look better for 2022, uh,
Yeah.
they have it at a live event again. I truly hope that all of this raw, real emotional feedback that was given out, mostly on the negative side, there was a few positive bits of feedback, but most of the feedback was fairly strong, strong negative feedback. I hope they take it to heart. I hope they apply some of these suggestions, remove some of the things that frustrated players, frustrated viewers,
Mm,
um, and hopefully uh, uh, this time next year when things are going on again, it can be the most level playing field, the most fair opportunity for anyone that has qualified to showcase why they have earned the spot that they did.
yeah, yeah. I mean, most importantly, these changes need to happen to preserve the integrity of the competition as well. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
sure everyone would agree that based on what had happened, it made this year's version lack a lot of integrity based on scoring, based on the passiveness of the AI, based on even the bugs that were allowed to happen, miles especially, things like that. And of course, I'm not saying that the none of us were affected by the dexterity or parry bug. Parry bug, of course, we shouldn't be affected by it because none of us were supposed to parry in the first place.
right.
But yeah, a bit of drop inputs here and there, but we still managed to play around that. All right, in terms of reaction time. But yeah, what really annoyed me the most was the passiveness of the AI as well as the scoring system, which yeah, this year's show simply put lacked the overall entertainment factor. You didn't have that sense of intensity. The thrill was lacking as well. Because who wants to see a fight that lasts for like 10 seconds?
Right.
Yeah,
I mean that's not what this showcase is supposed to be.
yeah, yeah.
It's not why it's here
I, I've
to
I've
to
I've
see
actually
someone die.
responded to a bit of a few negative comments regarding that when I was watching it live when it was broadcast on demand. Like some people are saying really negative things uh, like we can do better than these players. Like oh that's not how the way they play. How did they even qualify? So I would
You
like
know,
to put it out there once again. It's not because we truly suck, which might be the case, but I don't think it is. It's because we weren't allowed to express ourselves. We were restricted in the fact that you can't do anything when the AI just decides to go back, hold back, and just build up their power automatically through spite, and basically it's game over. You can't do a thing about
yeah.
it.
I mean,
Yeah,
no one in the positions that most of you, if not all of you, experienced at least once with the spite to special three. I mean, how could anyone play that any differently from the most elite players in the world? It doesn't make any sense, and that's just those are critics being critics. There's always going to be people like that. I can do this better, but they're not there and you are. So that's
yeah.
that's the big distinction between
Most important
someone saying
thing
they can.
that you hit it on the head is don't to all those who want to prepare for big competitions or even any competition in life. Don't let what any negative things that people say about you affect you. Comments are just comments.
Don't waste words on someone who doesn't matter to your story. Your life is a book and is forever you are forever writing your own story. Don't waste words with a footnote of someone who doesn't matter.
Exactly, exactly. You do you and do you you do sorry. You do you and you do you excellently. Just keep on going and things are gonna work out
Exactly.
eventually. Yep, eventually based on the amount of effort you've put in, you are going to be rewarded for it. So just block out all the negativity, and yeah, I do hope that the community as a whole, because I've seen some negative comments, they didn't really affect me though, because I actually made it a point to put it out there, a comment addressing what happens to let everybody know. But I just want the community hopefully to just all come together. We play this game for a reason. We love all things Marvel. We love fighting games. So why can't we all just chill together, enjoy the game together in a
Yeah,
harmonious environment? Why all the negativity out there right now? It's been building up. I've noticed over the past couple of years. So it's time to put a stop to this. Let's just enjoy the game for what it is, and everyone
absolutely.
can be happy and chill together. That's the way
Yeah,
it should be.
100%. 100%.
All right. Okay. So getting that out there. Let's see. Moving on. Now that you've officially re-entered the ring, all right. What
Yeah.
would you like to say to the thousands of fearsome summoners worldwide gunning for the title of World Summoner in 2022?
Um, I've been waiting. I've been waiting a long time for this, and I am not going to take it for granted. I am 100% prepared to get back to where I was and defend the crown that I never lost. All respect, I want to make this absolutely clear. All respect to Anger Danger and Happy McMuffins, 2020-2021 champions. They are elite. They are tip top of the game. No doubt about it. 100% championship material. They are champions, and I respect the hell out of both of them. I just couldn't defend my title. 2019, the pandemic came, and I was stripped from defending my title, and an age restriction was put on me. But now, the gates, I've always imagined it as there's just a big gate that says that has the number 18, and now it's finally broken down, and I can walk through with confidence, knowing that I will for certain be back, and I will try to become the first ever two-time world champion. So for everyone out there, with the knowledge that I am back, I just want you to know that I am coming with a vengeance, not born out of malice, born out of patience. It is not a spiteful vengeance. It is a well aged, well rounded, prepared vengeance. I am coming with a goal in mind. I am coming with baggage from 2019, baggage that I could not let go of because pandemic, age restriction, it's all been with me, but now it's gone. And now there is nothing holding me back from going to the 2022 tournament, whatever iteration that may be, whatever it may look like, getting to the semifinals, getting to the finals, and defending the crown that I never lost. So I will be back, and everyone watching, just get ready because you might not be prepared for what I'm capable of.
All right. Oof. Send chills down my spine. As we can clearly see, you definitely do mean business. So you're gonna be definitely bringing your A game, as are the other competitors. So one fight in particular that I'm sure everybody is eagerly anticipating is the fight against Happy McMuffins, North American region
Yes.
as well. Which, speaking to him, made me realize both of you boys are in the same region, which means we are not gonna be able to get the grand final showpiece that we all want to see. No disrespect to Anger Danger, of course. All right, just putting
Of
it out
course,
there.
of course.
But based on your grouping in your bracket, North America
Yeah.
means we can never get to see that showpiece final.
Yeah. It hurts my soul because he is one of those competitors that I just think if we had a match together, it would just blow the
Blow the
roof
roof
off
off.
the place. It
Yeah.
would be a ridiculous showcase between the two of us just going back and forth. Um, I would love to fight him in the solo competitive mode when it becomes available to all players. I think that would be a sight to see. And who knows? Maybe in 2022, if the qualification is different and maybe there's a live tournament as well, maybe we could see us in the finals together. Who knows? But yeah, I will be back, and yeah, he's definitely the guy I gotta look out for. But yeah, I'm ready. We've had a few duels in the past with Summer of Pain stuff and some very low level champion duels. And yeah, he's always a blast to go against. Very fierce competitor. He knows his stuff. And yeah, it's always a good time to fight Happy, talk with Happy, and yeah, I cannot wait for next year, and hopefully we can lock horns and give everyone a show.
All right, can't wait as well. It will definitely be a sight to see. All right, so that brings us to the end of our episode. So, before we leave, any last parting words to the community out there?
To everyone who watches and supports the channel, thank you so much. It means a lot and it humbles me every day. As I said towards the beginning of this interview, it humbles me that the content that I make is helpful to people and people learn and grow and can progress because of the videos that I've made. And anytime someone comes up to me and thanks me for a video I made, it's always the most humbling experience because uh, I make videos with the intention to help someone. It's not always going to help everyone, but to help someone. Someone will benefit from this. Therefore, it's worth making this video
I
because
for sure
someone
did.
out there, yeah,
I for sure did.
there you go. Someone is going to benefit from this video, no matter if it's someone now, someone 6 months from now. Someone is going to be in this situation somewhere, somehow, and they're going to benefit if they watch this video. And hopefully, if it helps them, I feel like it was successful. The views, it doesn't matter about the views. I'm not in it for the views. I'm not in it for all the clicks and the likes and stuff like that. If I help someone with a video, that's what really matters to me. It could be 1,000 people, it could be one person. If someone is bettered by something I've made, then that is successful. That is success for me. Once you have found your own personal success, the definition of your success should change to helping others reach levels of success so they can be the best that they can be. So thank you to everyone who watches the channel. I really appreciate it. I truly do from the bottom of my heart. And I will continue to make content that will hopefully, fingers crossed, help people. And if anyone wants to see anything specific, my comments are always open. Please put anything you'd like to see down below. I usually read every single comment. I may not reply to them, I may not give them a heart, but I do see everything. So if you have an idea, if you have a request, I'm here. I'm on Twitter as well. If you want to reach out to me, contact me. I'm always here to help. And yeah, just thank you to everyone who continues to support me, and thank you Satsui for having me on the
Thank you.
on the after show. Yeah,
Thank you for
it,
gracing
absolute
us, my
honor.
dude. All right, so yep, definitely looking forward to more and more awesome videos coming out from your channel as well. And yep, so last but not least, thank you so much once again, my dude, for offering us your ever so insightful opinions and thoughts on what went down this year, as well as what's been happening in the game as a whole. And yep, we're going to be signing off real soon. But before we do, let me just wish the viewers thank you so much for tuning in to this episode with MSD. I hope you enjoyed this and it was insightful. Not only insightful, but I do hope you picked up some important and useful pointers as well to apply to your in game journey, as well as to any of your careers for those would be and budding Summoner Showdown qualifiers or semi-finalists, or even those who are coming for MSD and Anger Danger, as well as Happy McMuffin's Throne. Alright, so thank you so much, boys and girls. I'll see you for the next one. This has been Satsui, signing off together with MSD. Bye, guys.